All right, welcome everyone. We are super excited to have you with us tonight on our special election edition Empower Hour. We have lots of news and information to share for both elections, both the Pacific West region and the Intermountain region. So we're glad that you tuned in to find out about everything that's happening, all the exciting news. We'll be going through some procedural stuff, election procedural stuff. Myself and my colleague Lee, we are both NTEU organizers, and we'll be um, fielding some of that just election process kind of thing. And then we will be turning it over to your colleagues, our organizers from both regions, to field some of the frequently asked questions that we get during elections. And then at the end, we will have an open Q&A time so that you can ask questions that maybe we haven't answered up until this point, or if you have any other information that you're interested in finding out. So we've been talking about these elections now for almost a year, and we finally have reached that point. So if you've been following along on our roadmap to getting to a contract, we are all the way down to the second line now. So we've done all of the things. We've got great organizing committees in both regions. They have spent months and months reaching out and encouraging folks to sign the 1187s so that we can have a 50% showing in the for the petitions that we have filed, and that we can file for an election. And that's really where we're at right now. We have filed both of those petitions. And we are just awaiting our final election agreement to be signed in both regions. And I'm told that the Intermountain region is just waiting for the FLRA regional director to sign off on their agreement. And for the Pacific West region, we're still waiting for the final draft. And I found out today that should be forthcoming because we have some agency folks, DOI folks that are going to be going on leave, and so we want to make that final agreement happen before they go wherever they're going on their leave. So once we have those in place, we will be moving into the actual election windows for both regions, and we'll talk about those dates on the next slide, but we'll be having our election. And then when the election is over, and as long as we prevail in that election, meaning that we have a simple majority of folks who who've cast their ballot, vote for union representation, then your union will become certified. And so we will have new chapters, two new NTEU chapters, one for the Pacific West region and one for the Intermountain region. And then we move forward into all of the standing up the union and all of those things that go into standing up your chapter and representing members and working towards a collectively bargained agreement. And so we're looking forward to all of those things, but let's talk now about the election itself, our first wave. So we've filed petitions in both regions, and these are the parks or programs that got to the 50% threshold first. So we're calling it the first wave because we're not stopping here. We're going to keep on adding future parks and programs to these initial chapters once they're formed. So you can see the list there. For the Pacific West region, we have 11 parks and plus the regional office of Pacific West regional office folks. And then for the Intermountain region, it's pretty much the same. It's interesting that both regions, the organizing effort they've kind of mirrored each other, which has been fun and interesting. I'm going to pause here to see if anybody from the Intermountain region wants to talk about these parks that are included in this first wave, or Nick for the Pacific West region, if there's anything you want to say about our first round.
I'm just looking at these lists. I think there's like these parallels where we have like four big big, well-known national parks in each region. We've also got a lot of historic sites in the regional offices and all those kind of smaller units well represented here too. So that's kind of neat. We've both like really stretched from like desert up to the north end of like literally to the border of Canada. So that's really awesome as well. Just a huge geographic spread, a lot of different kinds of people and different kinds of parks included in these petitions.
And I'll say about the Intermountain region and I think Pacific West region as well. I'm really excited about having both larger and smaller parks because a lot of those smaller parks only have a couple of eligible employees and wouldn't really be able to form a union just by themselves. And so it's really, really exciting that us at some of the larger parks can kind of come together and support all these other folks in our region. So it's really cool to see, we've got like Nico said, we've got bigger parks and we've got smaller parks, and it's really cool to see the way that we can all help each other out to make this happen and unionize for all of us.
Yeah, just you all have built an amazing union community. And we talk about the community that you built all the time, but it really is it's amazing how this has developed and how encompassing it is in both of the regions. All right, let's talk about the dates. So the Pacific West region, the election period will be from May 22nd, which is a Friday, through June 19th, which is also a Friday. And so we'll have the weekend to wait, and the ballots will be counted then on June 22nd, on the Monday following the end of the election window. The ballot packets should be mailed out by May 21st, and so you'll start seeing those arrive maybe even late next week. And then the voting opens, of course, on May 22nd. We have some procedures for requesting a new ballot. We want that to be done by May 27th so that we know that people are, everyone who's eligible to vote has an opportunity to vote. And so the details of how to request a new ballot and all of that we'll go over regionally, but just know that there are procedures in place for requesting those ballots. And then Lee, do you want to do Intermountain?
Yeah. Um, so for Intermountain region, ours is it's kind of weird and funny how this worked out because there are different uh, regions handling these elections. Uh, some agents prefer different timelines and procedures, and so ours is kind of fitting, and the IMR is fitting like inside of the PWR election. It's almost exactly 3 weeks. We're starting on a Thursday and ending on a Tuesday, so from May 28th until June 16th. So those ballot packets are going to be mailed out on the 27th, and similar to the Pacific West, it'll start at essentially midnight. That very next day, it's unlikely that anyone has actually received one and can vote that early, but that's when they actually open. And then voting can take place until June 16th, which is a Tuesday. So we'll get our vote tally the next day on a Wednesday. Uh, so yeah, it's going to be a tight period, and we that means we are going to need everyone to be watching for those ballot packets, and be ready to request a new one if you do not see it. And like Stephanie said, we'll go through those details on future meetings. We don't want to go too into the weeds here, and it's going to be slightly different for each election. All right, so from here, I think we're ready to hop into frequently asked questions. So, like Stephanie said, we're going to be joined by some of your organizing committee members to just take us through some of the details, some of the things that we hear the most, excuse me, during elections. So give me a second to spotlight everyone's videos, and we will move on. All right. Stephanie, we did not talk about how we were going to volley.
Well, I think it would be good if our three speakers could just quickly introduce themselves and tell where they're from, because I know we have people on this who are either watching now or going to be on this from all different regions. And so it would
Yeah.
be good just to kind of give a little introduction. And then I guess Lee and I will just take turns throwing the questions out to you. And let's start. The first question we'll throw out to Lindsay after everybody introduces themselves. So, Lindsay, if you want to introduce yourself
Yeah.
first, yeah.
Yeah, my name is Lindsay, and I work at Glacier National Park. So I have been involved in organizing from Glacier, working with other folks in the Intermountain region.
And my name's Travis. I'm in with the Intermountain Region Office in Lakewood and been involved with our region office and the rest of the IMR group as well.
I'm Nick. I'm from Joshua Tree, and yeah, I've been involved with the Pacific West region, been up and down the West Coasts, with folks all over the place.
So, Lindsay, first question to you, and we'll just go in this order, the order that you introduced yourselves. Can you tell us about who is eligible to vote in these elections?
Yeah, so there was a cutoff on April 18th because they needed to, NPS had to get us the lists of people who are eligible, and it's a whole process. So if you were on board as of April 18th, so the pay period that ended on April 18th, if you were on board during that pay period, then you will be eligible to vote and will get a ballot. So that includes, quote, professional and non-professional employees. We might talk about that a little bit later, what that distinction is. But that includes permanent employees, term employees, seasonal employees. I know at Glacier and other parks we had some seasonal employees on by April 18th. So if you were on by April 18th, you'll get to vote, including law enforcement. So employees of the National Park Service, the Department of Interior, at those sites that we listed previously. Oh, and yeah. Oh, and wildland fire folks who've been kind of consolidated to DOI are not a part of that at this point. Just to note. Okay. On to the next.
Okay, so uh sending this next one. Sorry, I need to minimize. Okay, there we go. Sending this next one over to Nick. Uh what does the ballot packet look like?
So it's just going to be an envelope in the mail from the Federal Labor Relations Authority. So the image in the top right is what the Yosemite employees received in August of last year. So that should be relatively up to date for what it looks like. Um, but it's just a nondescript white business envelope. So yeah, check your mail pretty thoroughly those weeks that you're um, that first week or two of the election, and make sure that you've not missed that little envelope. And in that election packet, there's a notice of election. Um, it says what the voting instruction, like how to vote. It's got a unique ID and PIN. So you've got to use that personalized information to vote. So you can't use the same ballot as or the same envelope as somebody else. But that information, so if that gets sent to your like parents' address because you're a seasonal employee or a friend's address, they can pull up that ID and PIN for you, and then you'd be able to go to the website or call into the phone number and use that information to vote.
Okay, I think this is directed at Travis. If a person has signed the 1187, do we still need them to vote?
Most certainly, yes. That's very important that just because you've signed an 1187 alone does not count as a yes vote. You must vote as well. That's your intention to join the union after we are successful. And your vote is probably one of the most important because you've shown the initiative that you want to be a part of this. So voting is just that next step that allows you to join the union. And then you may also be asking, if an employee votes yes for the union, are they required to join? No, you can still support our unionization effort and vote yes without having to become a full-fledged dues-paying member. Membership in the union is strictly voluntary and requires submission of that 1187 form. So that's important if there's folks who have been on the fence throughout this process and haven't signed yet. Do encourage them to at least vote because then it gives them the option to join later. So I think that's also really important for the other folks in that situation. And then you also may ask, will management or HR know how you voted? The answer is no. It's a secret ballot election that, like Nico mentioned, those individual pins are given out to ensure that only eligible employees' votes are counted and that no one votes more than once and that they're received and tallied by the Federal Labor Relations Authority, and only they will know who vote, not anyone else unless you're telling them, but no one else in your office will know how you voted or that you voted.
All right, I think we're back to Lindsay. So this one gets a little clunky here, but I think it's good for folks to know going in what's actually on the ballot. What are people voting on? What does all that language mean, and how's the union recommending that people vote?
Yeah. Okay. So this is where I mentioned the like professional and non-professional categories. We know all of us are professional employees of the NPS, but there's kind of a from I guess an outdated terminology of professional versus non-professional. So essentially, professional employees. I know at Glacier there's only a few that count toward this. Those are people that needed a specific degree for their position. So, for example, if you are, I think, like a biologist and you needed specifically a degree or coursework in biology, that is a professional employee. And then, like an engineer, for example. So, it's like if you have a specific degree that you need, and if you're not sure, you can ask an organizer at your park what you are counted as. If you are a professional employee, you're going to have two questions. And if you're a non-professional employee, you're going to have one question. And either way, we think that you should vote yes on either on both, not either or both, on both if you're a professional employee and on the one question you get if you are a quote non-professional employee. So if you're a non-professional employee, you'll get that one question that says, do you desire/wish to be represented for the purpose of exclusive recognition under the provisions of the Federal Service Labor Management Relations Statute by the National Treasury Employees Union? That's the union you're organizing with, or we're organizing with. And so you're going to want to say yes, that you want to be represented by NTEU. Okay, so yes on that. Professional ballots, you'll get two questions. So first question will be, do you wish to be included in a bargaining unit with non-professional employees? Please vote yes on this. Only some of those professional folks will see this language. If you did not vote yes on this, you're going to end up with a very tiny union. If for some reason you end up organizing separately, we want to form a union together to represent all of our interests so that we can work together on that. So vote yes on that question. And then you will get that same question about whether you want to be represented by NTEU. So if you're a quote non-professional employee, vote yes on your one question. And if you are a professional employee, vote yes that you want to unionize with the non-professionals and vote yes on that question that you want to be represented by NTEU. Make sure that you vote before the polls close. That's June 16th for the Intermountain region, June 19th for Pacific West region. And if you're an 1187 signer and you've said you wanted to join the union, we will be bothering you about it. So if you don't want to be bothered about it, to make sure that you remember to vote. I know I sometimes forget stuff like that or leave something in my mailbox for a while. I don't want to forget. But if you don't want to be bothered about it, vote as soon as you can, so that we can check that off the list and just know that you've hopefully voted. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I think we're on Nico. Can you tell us a little bit about management's role in all of this, what they can and cannot do?
Yeah, so this is pretty straightforward management. You may have supportive or not supportive managers at your park, and it's important to know what they can and can't do. Um, they can and they have to distribute the notice of election. So there'll be a sort of it'll be pretty boilerplate. It's like agreed upon language that says that there's going to be an election that will be emailed to everyone, and so you should receive that. Um, and then they can encourage employees to exercise their right to vote in the election. They can say, "Hey, there's an election. You should vote. It's important." Um, they can correct the record with respect to any false or misleading statement. So if I go around saying, "Hey, if you vote for this union, you'll get double the pay," then the supervisors or superintendent can say, "Hey, that's not true. Your pay isn't going to increase directly." And then what they can't do is interfere in the election process. They can't encourage you to vote in a particular way. They can't say, "Hey, don't vote for this union because it's going to ruin our lives. It's going to make it harder to fire you, so we don't want you to vote for it." So they can't do anything like that. They can't say vote for the union either. They can say, "Hey, go vote," but they can't say vote this way.
All right, Travis, you are up. So we talked about this a little bit earlier, but break it down for us. What does it actually take for us to win this election? And when are we going to know about the results?
All right. So what does it take to win? Results are determined by a simple majority, which is 50% plus one of the ballots cast. So an example would be if 800 people were eligible, which kind of is what we've seen. I believe that's been our number in IMR, and only 500 have voted, we would need 251 votes cast for an NTU to win. And the reason that's important, the higher the number, that sends a strong message. We've covered this in our Empower Hours throughout the year. So the more votes, yes, it just sends a strong message of what we want this to be. And when we know the results, votes will be tallied by the FLRA on Wednesday, June 17th for those of us in IMR, and Monday, June 22nd for those in PWR. And both NTU and NPS will be notified upon completion of that count. There's a 5 business day waiting period during which any party can file an objection only for potential illegal conduct that could affect the outcome of the election. And if there's no objections are filed in that period, a certification is issued stating that NTU is the exclusive bargaining representative for those park units.
Okay, I think we're back to you again, Lindsay. What happens after the election? So once we have our victory and we stop our victory dance, what do we do from there?
Yeah, that's when the real work begins. But either way, once the election is certified, NTU will be certified as our exclusive representative, and that means that we have a voice, that NTU can help us, advocate for ourselves and all of that. So NTU will be certified as our representative. Employees in the bargaining unit will immediately be represented by NTU in the workplace, in the legislature, and in the courts, which is huge and exciting. And then also, like, working conditions in terms of employment are frozen. So from then on, if the NPS management wants to make changes, like say moving people, consolidating people, moving around, whatever that is, they have to first negotiate with the union, with NTEU. So that means that if they're going to make changes, move people, whatever it is, they have to tell NTEU and negotiate with NTEU. So that's like right off the bat, even before we have our, official contract or anything like that. So then after, we are represented, our working conditions are frozen, and so that's, keeping the good stuff that you have, because I know a lot of us really love a lot of things about our jobs. After that, we're going to start forming our chapter. So we're going to have interim officers appointed. The interim officers are so that we can vote on our officers later on, once, we have kind of things moving and all of that. So we will later have a chance to vote directly on our officers, but we'll have interim officers that NTU appoints from, our the folks that have been involved. We're gonna vote on our bylaws. Even if I was gonna say like even if you weren't one of the ones eligible to vote, if you weren't onboarded on time, we'd still love your help as we build the union, because then, at this moment, you'll be part of the union. So if you want to help out with like bylaws, things like that, we'd love to have you. But yeah, we'll vote on bylaws, start training stewards, the folks that will be helping each other out, preparing for dues deductions and all of that kind of stuff. And as we go, we'll be kind of preparing to negotiate a collective bargaining agreement. So this is the point when we will have input on what we want out of the union, what we want it to look like, and we want everybody's voices involved in that.
All right, so we are over to Nick. And so let's talk about dues. When do we start and how do they get set?
So yeah, dues are something that everyone has questions about. And as we said before, you don't pay dues just because you voted yes in the election. You pay dues if you sign an 1187 form, which we do encourage everyone to do. Um, Local dues are defined by your chapter bylaws. So we have to wait until we've actually agreed on chapter bylaws, before those dues are going to be in place. Um, National dues are based on the income and locality. So basically, your income level from the Park Service will determine your dues rate. Those rates haven't changed in over 35 years, which is really remarkable. Um, and You can go to the TEU.org/NPS to see the example dues charts for GS and WG employees. So we can expect that to be a little bit of time after the election, before we start actually paying dues.
Okay, back to you, Travis. I know there are people out there who are interested in maybe getting involved or maybe just first hearing about this. What can folks do if they want to help from this point forward?
Yeah, and this is probably one of the most important aspects of today's kind of get out the vote, as we've been calling it. It's to sign your 1187 if you haven't already, as has been mentioned, and encourage a coworker to sign theirs who maybe hasn't yet. And we are looking for help to get out the vote and activities. Your organizers at your park are probably planning things. So if you know your organizer at your park and you want to get involved, now is the best time to do that, because this is the most important of all the hard work that your organizers and you all have been doing the past year. And something that could be helpful is just, can you commit to reminding 1 to 3 people about the election? Because that will go a long way. And as mentioned before on the numbers, winning big sends a big message to the NPS. Every vote counts. We don't want to just be that 50% plus one. We want to be well above, 90+% of the workforce would be amazing. And this is our chance, like we said, to show the NPS that our employees are paying attention and have a strong voice. So can't stress enough how voting, regardless if you've signed, is super important. Of course, like we said, we encourage you to sign. That's the most important thing.
All right, back to you, Lindsay.
Okay.
Tell us, what about the folks who are watching tonight who aren't at one of these election parks?
Yeah, okay. We are organizing in other park units as well. I know in the Intermountain region, we have at least one other park that's ready to go that reached their 50% after, I think actually we might have a couple that reached their 50% after we initially filed. And so we are going to do a second wave of elections as soon as we can. So once things are certified, we're hoping to do a second wave of elections because we want to have you as part of the union as well. So reach out to the organizing committee or an NTU organizer in your region to just see if there is already stuff going on at your unit, or talk to your coworkers, all that, and to learn how to get started. Seriously, we would love to like walk you through the process. I know other folks that at my park and other organizers as well. We've gone through this whole year, and we have a lot of tips and tricks. I know we've got some other videos about that too, on the Empower Hour playlist and maybe elsewhere. So feel free to browse other Empower Hours for help. Pacific West region, you can contact the organizing committee at the email that's right there. Or Stephanie Snow is your organizer for the Pacific West region. You can contact her at her email, which is on here on the screen. Intermountain region, you can contact the organizing committee at the email on the screen, or our organizer, Lee Fisher, you can contact them at their email that is listed here on, on the screen. And I'll just add as well, this is for second wave, IMR and PWR parks. If you're in the Midwest region or Alaska region, also feel free to reach out because we're also working on organizing a first wave over there. So second wave, Pacific West region or Intermountain region, and then first wave in the Midwest region and the Alaska region. So seriously, feel free to reach out. I'm sure Stephanie and Lee can link you up with the correct people or your organizing committee from either of these parks. We can connect you with the folks that you should be connected with. Woohoo!
Okay, so we still have we are still organizing, we're still adding to our membership and wanting to grow in both regions. So Nick, can you tell us a little bit about how to sign an 1187 for folks who have not done that yet?
Yeah, so we still want to encourage everyone to sign the form and commit to being part of this union and getting your representation, all that stuff. So if you want to do that, go to ntu.org/NPS. Make sure you click the button that says submit an 1187 here. There's a couple different things on that website, but make sure you click the one that says submit an 1187. That is a standard form from OPM. It's going to ask a bunch of things. You can leave the timekeeper box and the chapter number empty. Under agency name, it's important to put NPS and your location, what park or office or wherever you're working, or who you're working for. Not like, I wouldn't put 29 Palms, California, I'd put Joshua Tree. If I was, working remotely, I would still put whatever, whatever office you're working for or park you're working for. And then once submitted, it'll send a copy to your email, so you successfully did that. That NTU, that 1187 is your commitment to being part of this, to paying dues, to being a voting member, and all that, and really receiving all that representation as we go forward.
Can I add one thing?
Yes.
If you would prefer to sign a paper copy and you're at a park and there's organizers, ask your organizers for a paper copy because we can also get you a paper copy of that form that we can then submit to our NTU organizers if you would prefer to do that, or if you have trouble with the online form. But the online form is secure and everything like that.
Okay, looks like we reached the end of our frequently asked questions. So if your question was not one of those ones that was frequently asked, or so you want more information, clarity on something, feel free to take yourself off mute and ask out loud, or you can drop it in the chat. If you'd like to ask a question anonymously, feel free to send it to Stephanie, myself, or any one of the organizers who spoke tonight.
One question that we got that folks might be interested in is there was a new wave of DRPs that just kind of went and they were processed out, I want to say on the 29th. Is that right? Anyway, the question was, are those folks eligible? And the answer from the FLRA, verified through the FLRA, is yes, because they are still on the payroll, and as of the date, the payroll ending date, they were on payroll and receiving a paycheck. So those DRP folks are should receive a ballot. And if they don't, it'll be helpful to find out, if they don't, we'll be reaching out to folks and we can get them a second ballot if they don't arrive on time. One of the questions in the chat was, can we display signs and stuff that say NTEU or that I'm voting yes at our desks? Does anybody want to field that one?
I believe the answer is yes, because we are legally we are legally allowed to organize and all of that. I would, make sure if you're trying to get people involved and stuff like that, talk about it on your lunch break. But you can definitely have a sign even if it's in your, your workspace, because you can display other kinds of personal stuff in your workspace, like pictures of your family and things like that.
That's correct. And we do have signs available. We do have stickers available through your organizers. And so you can reach out to those folks if you want some of those materials. You can even put a sign in your car window, things like that. So all of that stuff is available and we can get that to you if if you don't know who your organizer is for your park or site or office, we can get those materials to you.
I see another question here. How long does it usually take for the bylaws to be ratified? Just like a ballpark, roughly, when can we expect dues to begin being paid? Any of the OC want to field that one? Okay. A couple of months usually, I would say, 3-ish is probably a good average. It could take a little more. I doubt it takes any less. Uh, you're going to have a bylaws committee that's going to review other bylaws and make suggestions to the membership that then gets a vote on it. So, and you have to give a special notice to your membership of that special meeting. So that takes a little bit of time. We usually say it's a few months after the election, and employees will be notified ahead of time once dues are going to commence, like heads up on the next pay period, or on the, second to next, or the pay period after next, you know what I mean? That they're going to start. So I hope that answers that question.
Just to add a little bit to that,
Yeah.
each chapter will be assigned an NTEU field rep to work really closely with, and that field rep will be very involved in helping those chapters to write their bylaws and provide resources and information for that. So it's not like, you win your election, you're on your own to do that. We support you through every phase of this process, and then Lee and I will still be around, but we'll be hopefully working with all of these second waivers that will be coming on with elections as well. So we're going to have even more NTEU staff that will be supporting your chapters once we get the certifications.
And isn't it correct that all of NTU's reps that get assigned to chapters are lawyers and so have a lot of great knowledge about all of that kind of stuff?
For the most part, all of our field reps are attorneys, with the exception of a couple that have been around for a very long time and might as well be attorneys because they're very experienced. So, yeah, that's correct.
Stephanie, do we expect those field reps to be the same person for IMR and PWR, or different because we're in different parts of the world?
It'll probably be two different people, but they'll work close with one another. And we should be finding out within this week who those folks will be for you. So I would stay tuned. In the next few days, we'll let you know who's going to be assigned to you.
And on June 8th, our Empower Hour, those folks are going to join us so that we can introduce them and they can talk about their role of working with their chapter and the other chapters they work with. I do think both uh, will come out of our Denver field office. So to Stephanie's point, we'll be able to work even more closely with each other.
And I have sort of a comment question. So after we're successful and the dues come out, that's when we get assigned a chapter number, correct? And then I update our bargaining unit status on our SF50 because I know that's been something important we've talked about as if you're eligible or not eligible.
Yeah, you'll get your chapter number when NTEU issues your charter, when and the NTEU president during Greenwald issues the charter after certification. So that happens pretty quickly. Uh, Within like a couple of days of certification, you'll get your charter and officers will be appointed. And then uh, your SF50 can take a while to be processed to change. And it may not change until they go into enter in dues processing and uh, do a large batch of changing um, SF50s and then entering dues. Not that everyone whose number changes. Anyways, we can't really predict when that happens. But regardless, that won't um, that's not the definer of whether somebody is going to be in our bargaining unit. So even if someone's number still shows quad 7, or they were one of the challenged ones and it was a quad 8 that they agreed to, but somehow didn't change it, we still will argue that we represent them, and that's not an issue. But that's a good point to mention that for those couple of positions that we did not reach agreement on, there's, I mean, somewhere around 20, I think, for each region. We'll file a unit of clarification petition with the FLRA after the election as a formality, but generally we have not had to go to hearing over those kind of clarifications. We're able to resolve those post-election with the agency so that we'll be able to resolve all questions about who's in the bargaining unit or who isn't. Other questions?
While we wait for questions, do any of our organizers have any words of encouragement, final thoughts, just anything you'd like to say that may prompt questions or just to kind of send us off tonight?
I'm just so excited to be building this union with all of you. It's been so cool to kind of be in this process. And even though there's been a lot of waiting getting to the election, it's been great to do that waiting with the other folks on the IMR organizing committee. And seriously, if you haven't been involved so far and you want to get involved, this is a great time to join. We'd love to have you. We'd love to have you as we figure out the bylaws and stuff of our chapters. So, like, seriously, we would love to have your help. This is the unions are built by the folks that show up. So we want to have your voice. We want to have you as a part of this. And yeah, so please reach out. And even if you just have, not a lot of time or want to help in small ways, we would really love to have you. Um, yeah.
Any other comments or questions?
I just came off mute. I didn't know if I could get a chance to just say hi if you can see and hear me. But I'm Michelle.
Hey, Michelle.
I work here. Hey, I work here at the Grand Canyon. I just want to say how proud I am of all of us. We've all been working incredibly hard. Seeing that list of 24 national parks across the Pacific West region and the Intermountain region just warms my heart, knowing how much work we've done, how we've come together. And I'm so excited to finally get to an election. I have no doubt that we're gonna win and we're gonna win big. And I'm just very excited to start to get to the work of representing ourselves. Like we're going to have NTU and the power that they bring, but it really is how we can represent ourselves and what we want to see happen in our work groups, but also with the National Park Service at large. And I'm also really excited to bring on other parks into this. So yeah, I just appreciate you all, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, when we were starting this, it was like, do you think we could be a union with like 4 parks, or do you think we could be 6 parks? Do you think we could really get 6 parks all together to be a union together? And now we're at like, can we add parks beyond 24 parks? Can we add regions beyond 2 regions? That kind of questions are just like so much bigger than we dreamed this would ever be. So, um, really excited about all that.
Okay, well, we'll give it another minute or two for any questions that might come up. And Nick, I'm sorry that I don't think the union can do anything about the temperature at 29 pounds, but we support you and we can send you water or something. I don't know, but
We have NTU sunscreen,
we do.
so we can help protect you from the sun.
Okay, well, I from NTEU, from my role at NTEU as an organizer, there's the sunscreen. I just want to sort of piggyback on what everybody else has said about what an amazing organizing effort this has been, and how incredible it is that it's grown the way it has and has no sign of stopping. And I mean, for me, it's just been a very unique and exciting experience. And I, it's hard to put in words just how the feeling of seeing this now come together, and we're getting to an election, and where it can go from here is just mind blowing. So yeah, I mean, I'm thankful for everyone on these organizing committees that we as organizers have been fortunate, NTU organizers have been fortunate enough to work with. The work that you all have done has just been fabulous. And um, I just think that this is going to be both of these chapters are going to be the ones to watch in NTEU in the next few years, in terms of growth and also involvement in NTEU's, and how we operate as a union. I think you're just going to bring, a fresh perspective that we're going to be welcoming into all the things. So. I don't know if Lee wants to add anything before we sign off.
That you all have said almost all of it. Uh, like Stephanie, it really is an honor, and it's really humbling to work with you all uh, as stewards of such incredible resources, and the love and dedication that you all have for the work that you do is going to make you strong union members because you care so deeply about your work and about each other and about the future. As we were collecting testimonies for this upcoming election, uh, one thing that struck me that I kept hearing people talk about was the legacy that just by making a union that you all are creating, that you all are making history and are at an opportunity to change things right now, but also for all those who come after you. And I know that matters really deeply to NPS employees. And so, really excited to be a part of this momentous moment that is, like Stephanie said, just the kind of the beginning, that we are not stopping here, full steam ahead. So, uh, any other questions, or are we out? I think it might be time to call it a night. Thank you all to our amazing organizing committee, Nick, Lindsay, and Travis, for helping us tackle all of those frequently asked questions and making sure that we are ready for these upcoming elections, which are going to be here right around the corner this month. This month, they are starting this month. We are finally at that moment. Thank you all. Have a wonderful night. Reminder, there's a schedule change. We will see you all back here next week for another Empower Hour, and then we're going to skip Memorial Day weekend and be back on our schedule. See you all next Monday.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.